Hey, we are live. This is, what day is today? Today's Tuesday, the 27th. I'm going to put up, oh dear, I left my phone over there. I'm going to have to walk over there and grab my phone because I'm going to need to see if Larry's saying something to me. So give me 1 second. I'll be right back. More than a second. Oh, where is the phone? I heard my cell phone. I'm going to have to dial my cell phone so I can find it. Give me a sec. I'm sorry. I need to keep my cell phone handy so that if Larry texts me, I sent him the link. So we're just waiting for him to get off the program with Jason Goodman and get on here. I don't know if any of you guys, Nick, I know you were here yesterday. I'm not sure, Patricia, if you were with us yesterday. I will try and, Patricia, we may have to save your questions. We'll ask them as soon as Larry gets here. The coup being tried in military tribunals. Larry said, what did he say a couple days last week? Somebody asked that question last week. And trial in military tribunals comes under something very, very specific. Oh, I know what it was. There are certain people who have had to take the oath of office, like congressmen, for example, people who have had to take the military, same oath of office as the military takes, may be able to be tried in a military tribunal. And I think somebody is looking into that possibility. We can double check with Larry when he comes back, but that is what he said, that it would fall under military because it's the same oath of office that they've taken. So I'm going to let Larry know that we are live and waiting for you. He may need to go and refill his water glass before he comes on with us, or deal with the dog first or something. Anyhow, let's see. Yes, did all of you get, I know Nick, you were here yesterday. Did the rest of you get to hear what Larry said yesterday? I don't know if you guys realized in the beginning he was having a hard time staying with us. He was passing out. And I don't know if that was, I don't know what was going on. He has had a couple really rough days health-wise. He sounded like he was doing a whole lot better with Jason. We're going to have to keep this program short because after an hour with Jason, his voice is kind of going. And here he is. Welcome, Larry.
Hey.
Yes,
sir. Sorry, I'm running a little late. I'm a little long with Jason.
Yeah, well, not much. You're just 4 minutes over, so not a big deal.
Yeah.
We're here. We're live. We had 2 questions already, so we're going to start with those just to get them in.
All right.
Do you know anything about what's happening with Julian Assange?
Do not. Not a thing.
Okay, and the other question, could the individuals that have attempted a coup against President Trump be tried by military tribunal? I remember you addressed that question last week and told folks that if people anybody who had taken an oath the same as the military oath, somebody was looking into the possibility of the military tribunals for them.
Right. I don't know what they have found yet, but that is something they're looking at. Can there be access to some people through a tribunal, military tribunal? But it keys folks off of the person, if they're involved in law enforcement and stuff like that, there's a chance they can. If they're involved with the FBI, there's a chance they can. So hold on. We'll know more about that soon, I hope.
Well, you had mentioned something on Jason's show about knowing whether AG Barr, Attorney General Barr, is good people or there to cover up based on what he does with McCabe.
Yes.
I came in late, so I didn't hear all of that. So since that relates to this, seeing he was FBI, can you say what you mentioned about McCabe?
Yes. He's in a situation right now. Oh Lord, somebody's calling. It's probably going to knock us off.
Well, just let the phone call out and share with us.
Anyway, Barr is in a situation where he is in a situation where he can prosecute or start prosecution on McCabe. Now, if he prosecute McCabe, if he doesn't, are you there? Did I lose you?
You're still here, but the sound, we lost the volume.
Shoot.
Something happened volume-wise. You'll just come right back, folks. That'll just make it easier. Thanks, Linda. Fatherly advice yesterday, definitely. Hopefully we can get into finishing up what he said. Oh, I have to click on him. Hang on. Yep, you're back.
Anyway, what I was trying to say is McCabe, he's at a position where he's got a recommendation to prosecute from the Horowitz investigation. Now, if he does not...
Wait a minute. There was a recommendation to prosecute whom with Horowitz? Wasn't that Comey? Or did he...
That's Comey. This is another situation with McCabe.
Okay.
If he does not go forward with prosecution against McCabe, then I'm afraid we're in trouble.
Now, where would they prosecute him? Because aren't we still dealing with the same issue of rigged?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. But the point is, with McCabe, you reach a point to where he's got to initiate something against McCabe. If he does not, then I'm afraid we're not going to see him do anything to anybody. Now, yes, if he goes against McCabe right now, likely as not, it'll be in the 12th District Court, New York, which is rigged. I know it, you know it, he knows it. But he should at least be impaneling a grand jury. And he may be, and we don't know about it. But let's sit tight. Let's watch what happens with McCabe. Now, just like with Comey, if there is a good, honest, logical reason why not to go forward with McCabe at present, then fine. But I need to hear what that reason is. And I know the first reason is going to be we're getting in a rigged court. I know that, but we're at the present time, President Trump needs him, Barr, as much as I hate to say it, he needs Barr to take action against somebody. Or I fear we're going to start losing the interest of the people.
Yes. Yeah. And of course, McCabe was just hired by CNN.
Yep.
I heard somebody this morning going through the list of all the people that we're watching be part of this coup and how many of them are working for MSNBC or CNN. There's Baker, McCabe, there were like 10 different people. I can't remember the other names at the moment.
When Clapper or Brennan, one of those guys.
Okay, Gloria missed what you said about the military tribunals. So go ahead and say that again.
They are looking into, in the interest of trying to find some honest court of sort to prosecute some of these people. It may turn out, and I'm saying may, might, not a guarantee, but it may turn out that if the standard to be able to get these people before a military tribunal is if they took an oath to office to protect the government and the Constitution, such as a military person did, And if they work for possibly the FBI or somebody else having to do with law enforcement, there may be a way that they can be put into a tribunal. But that's yet to be established. People are working on it. As soon as they know, I'll know. As soon as I know, you'll know. But it's very important to know that Barr is between a rock and a hard place, folks, and don't doubt it. Don't even think about doubting it. His situation is that, you know, he's sitting here. If he prosecutes these people, that he is holding in his hands sufficient evidence that if it were against any of us, he would go forward in a second. But being the people that they are, the positions that their place in the government, if he takes them into the present judicial system that we have now, the chances of getting a conviction, he knows, I know, and I think most of you do, that even if they had one of these people on video saying they did something, it wouldn't matter. They'll get off. So he knows if he goes forward with a serious case to a rigged trial, to a rigged court, it's going to be disastrous. But then on the other hand, he can't wait much longer to do something, to bring some action against one of the major players, because it's to the point where the people are getting restless.
Oh, definitely.
You know, and I understand everybody being restless. I do. I'm restless. I want it done. But if you know what I know, and most of you know some of what I know, you understand that if Barr is straight, which as of this point I've seen nothing but that from him, but even being straight, if he takes it to court and the court rules against him, then we're all sunk.
Now, is there going to be a problem if they rule against, you know, if they let, for example, if they were to let McCabe off, because he's so intertwined with all of this? Does that not get all the other cases out because he's participating?
Well, it could, but that's part of building the case that Barr is in the process of doing. Number one, even looking at McCabe, you have to look at McCabe's confederates, the people that worked with him. And the object is to try to get one of them to rat on the others and start that process going. So I think all hands need to be on deck watching what happens with McCabe. If McCabe gets off somehow scot-free, no prosecution, etc., then we'll know it's over.
McCabe certainly.
Now, I will tell you all this. I have seen nothing, Mary Ellen. I've seen nothing at all from Barr or Durham, either one. I've seen nothing to indicate to me that they are leaning towards letting him off. I've seen nothing to that effect. To the contrary.
Now, McCabe certainly walks around with his head held high arrogantly. Expects to get off like all the rest do.
Well, let me tell you something. I saw before going on with Jason, I saw just a clip, and it was McCabe. And they had a clip of him telling some Como or somebody, they were split screen. And McCabe said, you know, I knowingly did not lie to the FBI or to anybody. You know, he kept saying all the people he didn't lie to. I didn't lie to Congress knowingly. I didn't da-da-da. But he used that word knowingly. Now, folks, that's a legal language trick. That tells me everything about McCabe. That tells me that he did lie, and he knows he did. And he knows Barr and them know he lied. He knows Congress knows he lied to them. But he's getting them on a technicality. That is a huge word in law. You know, it's as big in law to me as when they say Larry Nichols robbed a bank versus Larry Nichols allegedly robbed the bank. You know, if you leave out the word allegedly, then I robbed the bank. But if you put allegedly in there, it means I might have robbed the bank. All right? Well, equally as important as allegedly to me is a professional, trained professional, throwing that word knowingly out there. Because what that leads to, which is a trick I learned from Hillary, what that leads to is when you get into court and they ask you if you lied to, let's say, Congress, he can say, I never knowingly lied. What he's saying is I might not have remembered that I did. And in law, they can't prove what you can or cannot remember. So I'm telling you, when I saw him use those words, he got a free pass. As long as you put, you know, knowingly, as long as I can say to y'all, I knowingly didn't tell you the cow jumped over the moon, folks, I can say it all day long, as long as I use the word knowingly. Because you don't know what I know or I don't know. You can't prove what I know or don't know in a court of law.
And like you said with Jason, when Hillary was testifying, she was constantly saying, I don't remember.
That's right. 200 and something times. 200 and something times in her 4-hour hearing. And what was significant about Hillary is they knew she was doing it on purpose because she could remember every second and every word spoken up until it got to this one point that might have taken 30 seconds. And she couldn't remember about that 30-second bit, but then she remembered everything by the person and second after it. So there's no way you could not have not, if you knew everything before it and everything after it, immediately before it, immediately after it, then it's stretching credulity, being credible to believe she didn't know that one little bit.
So there's no way to force somebody to...
No. Nope. It was so bad that they were almost having to try to find a way to deal with selective memory. It was that bad. Everybody knew she did know what she did or didn't do. They knew it. But there was nothing they can do to her. And that's the same way with McCabe. When he said, I knowingly have never lied to the FBI or Congress or anybody else. In political speak, the world I come from, he just said, yeah, I did. Yeah, I lied to him. So what? Can't catch me.
Wow. We have another question.
Mm-hmm.
Will Trump cut out, this is Don, he used to be on the conference calls. Will Don cut off all trade with China for good?
Will what? Will Trump cut off all trade with China for good?
Yes, sir.
No. He will not. I believe President Trump is doing what every president we've had since NAFTA and GATT should have done. If they're not going to play by the agreement, the rules as it were, if China repeatedly refuses to play by the rules, then cut it off or tariff it so high that it makes them bleed. Now, the problem with doing that is we here in America will feel some pain because of it. No sense lying about it. prices would go up on things that are sent here from China, and people would have to necessarily pay more for some things. And it might be that in today's America, people won't accept that. They just will not take the pain. But I would say to the people of America, what choice have we got? What choice do we have? We can't let them just keep stealing intellectual properties. We can't let them keep devaluing their currency at will, because when they do that, see, by devaluing their currency, it's like cutting their prices. And it hurts our companies, our businesses. So at some point, you've got to stand up and say, no. And President Trump's doing it. But it does not, I don't think he has any intention, nor does Xi, or whatever his name is, president or whatever of China. I don't think either of them are dealing at this with the prospect of never doing business with China again. It's just who's going to win. And if we, the American people, get behind President Trump and support him in being tough, if we'll support him, China will buckle. But you see, China, guys, what does China get its news from? What generally does it get its news from? What's it hearing? CNN.
Yeah.
And so China is being emboldened by the reporting coming out of America saying that Trump's in so much trouble because he's doing it.
You know, Larry, that is something that I have seen happening really for decades, because I had a very close friend in Europe that you know about, and she loved Hillary, she loved Obama, she didn't like GW. She got the news that they got, which was at least indirectly from CNN, if not directly. And so she was being fed nothing but the line of what they saw on TV. And she could never understand how I could possibly have thought anything different from what she always heard Americans felt like, or what we thought about our leaders. And it made no sense to her that I totally disagreed with what she heard. And it was all she heard, except for me. It confused her terribly. And
that's what happens.
Yeah, so I've seen, I mean, and when I would visit there and see what their news was saying, you know, I could right there in front of her say, I totally disagree. That is not who most of us are. That is not what most of us think. But it was coming from the TV, so how could you possibly think anything differently? It was just
That's right.
So confusing. So
and remember, Marilyn, that these foreign countries, when they see the quote unquote results of these polls saying that 80% of the American people, you know, hate this, that, or the other that Trump's doing. Well, you know, they're sitting there going, wow, we got him. We've got Trump in trouble. His own people are turning against him. Now, they don't bother to do what I try to get y'all to do, which is look at the internals of these polls and see just how the answer came out to be what it did. You know, they tricked the poll with these foreign countries and these leaders in other countries. They see that stuff and they get emboldened. It's a serious problem.
You know, that's something to go along with that. It's something that you've said. Forgive me as I try to change my chair because I'm just sitting in the dark here. One of the things you have said is remember the polls lie. And I have watched, you know, based on the scientific classes that I took in doing polling data and things like that, how surveys are even created. You can make a poll say anything you want by how you ask the question.
Mm-hmm.
So you've already predetermined the answer by how you set it up, who you ask, what you ask, how you ask it.
And then the other thing that I like to tell people, and I'll say it to y'all listening to me, how many of you have actually been called and actually taken some of these polls? How many? You know, usually the answer is not many people have ever been called by one of these miraculous polls that have so much information.
Larry, I've been called a few times, not very often, but a few times. And the one or two times that I've actually tried to participate, some of their personal identification information was so incredibly intrusive that you know, and if you did not answer 100% of their questions, they were not going to count your answers. So we got all the way through the survey with my obviously disagreeing with what their position was, and so I was going to be their outlier, or their, you know, it wasn't going the way they wanted. Their personal information. I mean, what bank do you bank at? I mean, that was so intrusive. I said, look, forget that I even participated then, because I am not going to answer. Well, if you don't answer the rest of these questions, then I can't count. It's like, well, then I guess you don't count. But knowing that they do that, Larry, when people have called after that, I said, I'm not going to bother participating.
Well, let me tell you what happens in that case a lot of times, folks. They'll go down and they'll get all your answers, whatever they want. They'll get the answers to. And then if you're not answering it the way they want it to go, then they'll have a kicker question, and the kicker question will be something that you don't want to answer, which gives them the right then to pull your name out of the poll and say you're not a qualified respondent. You see, there are respondents and there's qualified respondents. Respondents are anybody that they talk to. Qualified respondents, the ones they count, are the ones that supposedly have gone all the way through the survey. But just know this, as many polls by today's standard of every time you turn on the television or computer, you know, somebody's quoting or touting this poll data or whatever, and yet you have not been called. You've got to see that. I understand in one poll, maybe two, maybe 10, you didn't get answer or didn't get a call, but not in hundreds. You still haven't gotten called. I mean, that makes sense, folks. The polls are bogus. They are bogus, and that's what they're for.
And I'll add too. 3 years ago, before the 2016 election, there was a Fox poll, and we found out who was it, Fox or NBC? Maybe it was an NBC poll. We found out that the polling had been done by the University of Arkansas and University of Arizona. Sorry, University of Arizona. I called the professor in charge of that polling data to ask him about the internals. Who did they survey? How did they get their names? How did they structure the survey? I was asking questions to ascertain whether it was a legitimate, scientifically done poll, done correctly. And he refused to answer. He said, you do not have access to that information. I do not need to tell you. After the election, you can call back and I will tell you the information. After the election, it was worthless because it would be too late to be able to point out to folks that it was an invalid poll. But you still took that information from me and let the folks know that were listening at the time. The fact that they are hiding this proves that it was a bogus poll, so don't listen to it. And so that was part of what you did to train us or teach us in 2016. There was verification that these polls just are not legitimate.
Well, let's do this. Anybody got any questions? My throat.
Yeah,
fast.
Yeah, you ran out quickly. We don't have, nobody else is, oh, wait a second, for crying out loud. I've got my cursor way up top. I wondered why I hadn't seen anything more. Hold on, just give me a minute. Somebody said unless the military steps in and arrests the traitors for sedition, it's already over. Somebody
That's
thinks
not true.
Yeah.
That is not true. It's not over yet. It's not over until November of 2020, folks. Do not doubt that.
You know what happened in Jackson Hole, Wyoming recently?
What? I don't know what you're referring to. I think the Federal Reserve people had a meeting there.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they're talking about. And Pastor Roach says charges must be brought before the end of the year or it will look like political targeting. We have to take down Brennan. How important will it be for President Trump to appoint conservative judges in a second term?
All right. That's a tricky question. The preferred answer is, well, yes, we want conservative judges. Yes, we do. However, the real answer should be, if it were allowed to be, but it won't be, the real answer should be, he should appoint judges that are apolitical, people that are simply going to interpret the law as written, as our Constitution states. However, for years and years now, Democrats, when they're in, they appoint Democratic judges. When Republicans are in, they appoint Republican judges. And we end up with a judiciary that's polarized. And that's not good. The whole reason these people are given lifetime appointments is so that they don't honor one party or the other. That was the whole point of it. But it's not working today.
Boy, there are a lot of questions that came in that I didn't realize, Larry. So we're going to
let them rip.
do as fast as we can. Do you see another Benghazi situation happening in the near future?
Quite possibly. Quite possibly, with one caveat to that. There will never be, with President Trump as our commander-in-chief, there will never be a Benghazi handled, or should I say mishandled, the way that one was. I assure you, President Trump will not abandon Americans that are in trouble. He will not. What else?
Is Hillary involved in Pedogate?
In what?
Pedogate, pedophilia.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that.
Okay, is it a coincidence that all these globalist, commie, crooked FBI agents? Sorry. Okay, get a grip, Marion. Is it a coincidence that all these globalist, commie, crooked FBI agents look like weaselly, nerdy, effeminate man girls who used to get punched in the face and their lunchboxes stolen in high school? Is it?
I think there's some truth to that, in that I get that same feeling when I see them, listener. They all look like they're suffering from when they were kids being bullied. And now that they've got, positions of authority or whatever, now they're getting to pay back the bullying that they got when they were kids. So yeah, they seem quite effeminate in many cases to me. The men. What you got?
Somebody really likes Trump's deal with Japan was a great move.
Yes.
Doesn't China, and we could say this about other countries, don't they recognize fake news? Especially when the communists are masters of fake news. Well, folks, that's
not as
That was
Not as much as you would think. I know it doesn't make sense, but let me put it in another way. Some of the most easiest people to con are con men. They get conned all the time. So don't doubt that even though these foreign nations are very much involved in rigging the media, they still fall sucker to it. They can't help it. They do.
Well, here's somebody talking to a Filipino mom about what's happening here, or I would assume that's Filipino, anyhow, whatever, some other country, and questioning why our American believes in Trump and believes he's doing the right thing, because over there they're only watching CNN. We've discussed this.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody would love to know where these surveys get their numbers from. Larry told the Clintons, why bother go through a survey? Just make it up. Just say it and they'll believe it.
Yeah, back then in Arkansas, we were, you weren't bothered to even make the phone calls. I don't know today if some of the major polling institutions, I would think they are making calls, but don't be deceived. They could very well trick one and not make the call. I don't think they do that now because there are so many companies that do polling at the same time. So if they totally just fake one, the numbers would be so far out of line with the others, I would hope. So anyway, what else you got, man?
Scrolling through. Well,
while you're doing that, let me tell everybody something. Tomorrow, I'm going to have with me a man that is a gunsmith. So we're probably going to do the program through the conference call so that he can be on with me. And y'all will be able to ask him questions directly. It's simply in the interest. I'm not trying to incite rioting and violence and shoot 'em ups or anything like that. Not that at all. I just think it would be beneficial to have somebody like him come on that you can ask questions about the weapons you have, the functionability of what you have, or maybe even ask what might be best for you to get or something. So it ought to prove to be somewhat interesting, but he'll be with me tomorrow. But because of that, the program will be on the conference call.
now we're gonna stream it through YouTube, right? So people can hear it later.
Don't know. I don't know how you do that.
Or do you want us to do the conference call and we can put on YouTube? You have to listen to the conference call or miss it.
Once it's done, if it can be put on YouTube, yes, put it on. I just don't know how you do it.
The only way to put it on YouTube is to do like we used to do, where I just use my speakerphone, and that's not great, but at least people would be able to hear it afterwards.
All right, and that's what we'll do.
Okay. Do you think we will ever get to read the FISA reports?
Yes. I know you will. I know we will.
Okay. Wow, here's a philosophical question. Why do evil people not suffer, but good people do?
I can only tell you this. Life, relative to eternity, is short. We're just a blink of an eye. Life. So when it appears that evil is profiting and coming out ahead, they may be in this life. They may very well be. But the true judgment for people committing evil comes in the next time, the next life, where you spend eternity. And if I were these people, which I have been one, I would be very concerned and need to change. They still have time to change. and fix it so that they don't live in eternity in hell. They do have time to change, but they've got to. But don't worry. They may look good today. It may look like they've got it made, but that's just for the time it takes to blink an eye.
Last question. Will the killer ever be brought to justice who killed Seth Rich?
The killer that killed who?
Seth Rich.
My honest answer, no. No. There are, I can think of many, many killings that were misrepresented officially. And people get by with it. They do. Seth Rich, his case, I fear, I don't want it to be, but I fear it will be forgotten, and the person that did it will walk away.
Not forever.
Not forever. Plus, I will add this. The person that did it to Rich likely is not, will do it again to someone else. And maybe they'll get caught then. But they are already caught for eternity.
Yep.
Anybody else, Rita?
No, sir. We're going to end there. Thank you, folks. Thank you, Larry.
All right, we'll be here tomorrow. Tim will be with us. Mary Ellen, you'll post on the thingy how to get it, right?
Yep, it's already listed underneath for the conference call number for Monday, Wednesday, Friday night. But if you want to get a pen real quick, I will give you the number. I'm going to type it in as I tell you. No, I can't type it in because my 5 and 6 don't work on my computer. Okay, so the number is 712-451-0725. That's 712-451-0725. And the access code is 492-215#. Now that number, 492-215#, the access code. The phone number and access code are in the description under the video. It is also on the website, nicholslive.com.
Now, if you're going to ask questions about a firearm that you possess now, and you've got questions you want to ask about it, it would not hurt folks to have it out during the program so you can read off of it whatever he might need to give you counsel about it. Yeah. So just think about that. And with that, I'm out of here.
Okay, thanks, Larry.
All right, have a good day, y'all.
You too. Okay, he's gone. Folks, you can hear in his voice after being with Jason and then for an hour and 45 minutes with us, and I have no idea how much work he did today on the phone before he even got on with Jason. Larry is giving every breath he has to helping to stop the deep state, to help save us from socialism, communism. He told Jason today that we are only months away from knowing whether we're done or whether we still can go on. And he said if we can defeat socialism and by helping President Trump to win again in 2020, he has said that there are things President Trump can do in his second term that he cannot do right now in his first term. For example, he can fire all the federal judges, obviously the ones that he's appointed, he would consider to be good. But if they've proven to be not so good, he can fire them too. So federal judges, he can fire and appoint ones that we would expect to give an honest trial and not be part of the rigged socialist system that lets the elites off and throws the book at us. So that's one of the things he can do. He is planning on taking the education system out of federal hands and putting it back in the state level where it belongs. He's very much a, believer in states' rights. And, we are going to have to work extra hard to get him in because, as Larry has said, all the Democratic candidates are fighting over who can give the most promises of freebies. But remember, the Democrats don't keep their promises. Larry used to give the orientation to the congressmen when they came into office, both the Republican and the Democrat Party orientations. The Democrats had to sign in writing. The Republicans just had to verbally agree that he told them, whatever you said and did to get elected, forget it. That's the past. It has nothing to do with what you do when you're in office. You are here to raise money and to do what you are told to do and vote the way you're told to vote. He's told us about the chit system they use in Congress, that they can force people to vote the way they need you to vote. Even if you totally disagree with it, they can force you to do it. Let's see, what are some of the other things? Oh, and he's also told us that he has seen the paperwork. He has held it in his hand, so he doesn't make these kinds of statements without being able to prove it. They have the plan to have the industrialists, in other words, the big names like Buffett. They are going to crash the economy. They're going to crash Wall Street 2 months before. The plan is to crash Wall Street 2 months before the election to destroy Trump's chances of winning. They are throwing all these freebies. The freebies are nothing but lies because they know even if the House passes the bill, even if the Senate passes the bill, even if the president were to sign the bill, the Appropriations Committee would have to fund any bill that is passed. And these Democrats making all these promises of free this and that know that there's not enough money. Any one of their promises would bankrupt the country. And so they know that it's nothing but a lie to get them the votes that they're looking for, to get them in power, because they know that's why we have so many Democrats running. And that's why some of there are people like Walsh who are trying to get in on the Republican side. They know whoever gets into the White House will be dictator forever. Now, that is not going to be true if Trump gets in, because he does not want to be a dictator. He wants to help the country. He loves America and he loves Americans. So that is not going to happen with Trump. But that will happen if the Democrats win, like Larry has said over and over, within 6 months to a year. In other words, before Christmas 2021. We will be fully a communist socialist country. It takes a few years to use up all the wealthy people's money, paying for all the free things that they've promised, if they even do that. They certainly will take the money. They will raise taxes. They will raise costs on everything. And, we'll run out of money pretty quickly, and welcome Venezuela, here we come. Obviously, we don't want that. So it really is important because of what Larry is able to do. And even though I don't know, I don't get to know what he's doing any more than you do, but having been with him long enough, I can read between the lines with things that he says one day, and I go, oh, what I remember he said something like that, before, and I can put two and two together and kind of guess some of the things he's doing or people he is talking to. And folks, it is so incredibly impressive. We need to find donors to keep him in the fight, because without financial help, he goes downhill really, really, really fast. And we can't afford to lose him, folks. We cannot afford to lose him. And remember, if Trump doesn't win, and with the things that Larry is able to do and what he knows, he can both feed information that should be able to trickle to the president. He can feed information to us and teach us things that we can do to help us with what we're facing in the next 14 months, 15 months. We need that counsel. We need it. Our country needs it. Being able to get, he knows people. So there are ways that he can get information, even if he doesn't talk to somebody directly, there's a way to get information through somebody. I am sure of it. And, I know there is a way to get information because, for crying out loud, I handed Larry's phone number directly to Eric Trump. Now, I'm not aware that any of them have ever called that phone number ever, but they have been given his number. I can say that. Now, that was 3 years ago. Do they still have it? Did he keep it? He put it in his pocket. Did it stay there? Did it get tossed out? Did it go to the dry cleaners? I don't know what happened to it. But, we need Larry. So go to nicholslive.com, the website, nicholslive.com. There is a donation page that gives his PayPal account. Larry, no first name. nicholslive@aol.com. It's just like the website, except you include the AOL. So the PayPal is nicholslive@aol.com. And the website is nicholslive.com. He cannot cash checks. He cannot cash cashier's checks. He cannot cash money orders. The only way to send anything to him in the mail is cash only. If you need or want to send a check, there's a phone number on the website that you can send a text message. I will call you back and we can talk about other ways. If it's a large donation, whether it's you want to donate by check, whether you want to donate through some other means, there are ways to get him larger amounts of money, and we can do it fairly quickly. Some we can do instantly, other ways we can do takes a few days, but it is possible. If he gets, at least $4,000 in one sum, he can negotiate a discount on the medications he gets. And with the kind of pain he's in, folks, if you heard yesterday's program, you could hear the kind of pain he was in because he hadn't had any medication yesterday and he was hurting really, really badly. He is still able to defend himself. He is still strong enough that it doesn't matter how weak he looks or appears or sounds. What he can do is pretty incredible, and he keeps fighting. But please pray for his safety, just like we're praying for President Trump's safety. Anytime you pray for the one, please remember to pray for the other. So I'm going to say thanks for being here. Yes, thank you for saying that Larry is worth the investment. One of the things Larry has said is one of the first things that will happen if Trump doesn't win is they will confiscate all money in the banks. They will confiscate all money in your 401k. You will lose everything. And there's no guarantee that they won't just raise property taxes, confiscate your house. I heard Larry told me recently, I don't remember if he had said it on the program here, but I did hear him say it the other day, that there is a plan that a family of four, they have figured out a family of four can live in a 1,000 square foot unit. And if you have more than 1,000 square feet for four people, they will put other people in your dwelling with you. So Larry gets proof of all these things. He won't say them unless he can prove them in a court of law. So if he says something, unless he's saying it's in his opinion or he's citing his source, he has seen it. He has held it in his hand. He has probably copies that he can take into court if necessary. He won't say something if it's not real. So rather than risk losing everything in the future, it would seem to me a wise investment would be to sacrifice as much as you can to keep this man in the fight with us. And I wouldn't ask you to do anything that I haven't done myself. So, folks, that's it for today. Thank you. God bless you. And again, the phone number tomorrow, I will put it on the tomorrow's title, 712-451-0725, and the access code is 492-215 #. yes, if you don't want to be on the conference call, the sound won't be very good because it's got to go through my little speakerphone here. But and it's 20-year-old phone, so we used to have some problems with that. So, but it's the best I can do in order to be live and have it recorded. So, join us on the conference call, and you can talk to Tim directly and Larry tomorrow. And thanks a lot. Thank you for spreading the links. Well, you know, if you're squashed on social media, use the email and share it with other people. Tomorrow should be a fun show. I'm looking forward to hearing Tim's voice and hope to meet him someday. Thanks again. God bless you, and we'll talk tomorrow. Bye.